biggest lies available that he felt the country could clap for.
What were these lies?
The fact that he wasn't the one who annulled June 12. He did. In fact, Babangida never wanted elections. He wanted to transmute from a military head of state to a civilian head of state. Every other thing he was doing between 1990 when we started getting...
Well, that was the rumor at the time.
It wasn't a rumor because I'm sitting here as one of the students who was expelled in 1992 after we organized Babangida Must Go. So there wasn't a rumor. They reached out to us and said, if you won't let this man become a civilian president, you are not coming back to the university, and they expelled us after we were arrested.
Yeah, but he never came back as a civilian president.
Well, he then created a diarchy after that period. That was how they had an interim government. Not the last interim government. There was a government that he created. He also created the National Assembly.
Yeah, but I'm not trying
in
to...
which some people were supposedly elected.
I'm not trying to defend him.
I know you're not.
But I mean, I traveled to Nigeria at the time as an international correspondent, and the impression that was given was that this was part of a process of transition.
No, there was no transition. He didn't have any plan to transition Nigeria to democracy. We forced him to do so eventually. And by the time he did, the damage had been done. So you're asking me what stood out in the book? Nothing, except that for those who weren't born or who didn't know about him, this might sound strange to them that he actually came and was a little contrite. You know, he finally said, oh, you know, the June 12 election was free and fair. We knew that 32 years ago.
Yeah, but he said,
yes,
which is what really stood out for a lot of people, that he confirmed for the first time, really, that Moshood Abiola did win that presidential election.
No, he didn't need to say that. We knew that.
He was a president of Nigeria.
We knew that already as of 1993, June 1993, after June 12. We knew that. I personally interviewed Professor
Humphrey
Wosu in New York, and it's on the internet, it's on YouTube. And he admitted, he said he knew, everybody knew that Abiola won the election.
Well, obviously he did know, but I mean, he didn't say it at the time. Now he's saying.
Because now it is lucrative. He wanted to use it to raise money for a presidential library,
right,
which is a scam because he was never a Nigerian president. So how can somebody who was not elected?
Well, he was a military head of state.
That's
and again, we're not defending
self-styled
him, but he was a military head of state, and the whole point of a library is to try and keep historical records.
But people who are accidents of history have no right to keep records that have been
Well, they have a right to keep records.
No.
You may not necessarily, I mean, it's your prerogative if you don't want to go to the library.
No.
But I mean, that doesn't stop
I
him
don't
from
even think he's building a library.
library.
I don't even think he's building a library. But I hope he is building something that we can convert to what former President Jonathan said we should do, a hall of shame for all of them.
A very quick question before